Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Apex Online Racing Hype Energy F1 League on the Xbox platform. This week we're at the snaking figure of 8 circuit of Suzuka for the 17th round of Season 16 and the Japanese Grand Prix. My name is Justin and as usual I'm joined by Andy.
Well, we've had our feet up for the past week, Justin, haven't we? We've had a week off and we've been taking time to soak up the sunshine on the beaches, and it's time to come back to the F1 action. We are here, as you say, at the magnificent Suzuka circuit, the 5.8 mile circuit, one of the highlights of the Formula One season, right up there with the likes of Monaco, the likes of Suzuka, Spa, Silverstone. It's right up there on the list, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It is an absolute cracker. What a circuit. You've got the S's, you've got the Degners, you've got the Spoon Curve, the famous 130R. Where better to resume the season than this, Justin?
Yeah, and the Kobayashi hairpin as well. I'm a big Kobayashi fan, so of course I feel the need to include that as well. We're having a quick look at the Alfa Romeo. I guess let's get in the habit of starting to say that. The Alfa Romeo of Restev, who I believe was the first car out on circuit for today's qualifying. We've got just under 14 and a half minutes to go and no times on the board just yet. Last time out, it was Surprise that led a double Ferrari podium, and that was in Russia. That was at the Russian Grand Prix at Sochi, as MVP Zero becomes the first driver to set a time with that 1 minute 33.586, and that is immediately bettered by Restev by an unsurprisingly large and significant margin. And now Leopard, who was on that podium a couple weeks ago in Russia, he's now quickest of all. What do we think about Leopard towards the tail end of the season? Is he having a resurgence of form?
Well, he's certainly picked up. I mean, he has had podiums on a number of occasions this season. He was third back in Spain, third in France as well, before going back to back, as you say, Justin, in recent races, really up in his game. You know, he really is a quick driver, LCR Leopard, and as I say that, he goes to the top of the timesheets with that 1 minute 27.8. Can he continue that form? He wasn't too far away from the top of the leaderboard last week. Can he try and get a win, Justin? We know he's won before. We've seen it twice last season on F1 2017. So, yeah, very quick driver and in resurgent form and really close to matching Evo's pace. So, looking good.
Yeah, that was the really surprising thing, I think, about his performance in Russia was that he was really on the pace with the rest of the guys, with the top runners. So really impressive stuff from Leopard. It could just be a circuit that suits him, though. We'll see from Suzuka. We've got 5 times on the board, and nobody yet has been able to displace Leopard from the top of the timing sheets as it stands right now. Maybe let's go on board with OMG It's Joe, because I think he might be, yeah, he's going to be coming to the end of his lap shortly. We'll go on board with him for a hot lap since we didn't have one pre-recorded for today's broadcast. But OMG It's Joe has had a difficult time the past few races, really since Singapore. It's not been going all that well for him, so I imagine he's probably going to be one of the more motivated guys out there today, really looking to get back onto the podium, possibly another win, that sort of stuff. But he's just making his way into the Casio Triangle now. So let's go on board with the Force India driver. And Andy, talk us through a lap of Suzuka.
Yeah, well, as I said at the start in the intro, it really is one of the crackers. As you head across the start-finish line to the beginning lap, you can make overtaking manoeuvres down into this first corner. If you don't do it here, you could maybe do it, as Justin says, into the Kobayashi hairpin or at 130R. Turns 1 and 2, really long first couple of corners. You need to keep your nose clean at the start through there. And now this magnificent S's section up the hill through turns 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. It really is a roller coaster ride to start the lap. One of the trickiest opening sectors to a lap on the Formula One calendar. Through the long left of Dunlop, easy to run wide climbing up the hill there, then into the high speed, digging the corners, 6th gear on entry to the first one, and then the second one. If you get the first one wrong, you're going to have a trip through the gravel trap. It really is a track that is extremely unforgiving. Now, as Justin says, the Kobayashi hairpin is Joe mistake and ruins the hot lap. We had this earlier in the season when we were trying to do the lap, and Joe, what have you done? He stopped at the side of the road, and when we were trying to go in a hot lap, Justin, he stopped us in our tracks. We'll continue on board with him for now, though, and yeah, that's the Kobayashi hairpin, turn 11, where we see some dive bombs now and then. 12, obviously taking a lot quicker than Joe is taking it at the moment, and then breaking into turns 13 and 14 at the spoon curve, and then accelerating down towards the end of the lap through the final sector now. From 15, the famous 130R corner. Joe, not going too quickly. I mean, usually you're rocketing down here in 8th gear, flat out through this left-hander. I mean, the scene of many great moments. Alonso, of course, overtaking Michael Schumacher back in 2005, and then into that difficult chicane, overtaking can be done. We saw Prost and Senna collide there once, and then round the final corner to complete the 18 turns of the lap. Just apologies there that Joe decided to back out in the middle of a hot lap, but hey ho, that's what happens when you do it. That's what happens when you do it live, isn't it, Justin?
Yeah, exactly right. But it looks like he's going to continue on, and we can only assume he'll better that 145.9 pretty significantly. But yeah, mixed bag as far as super softs and medium runners. I did catch the PS4 race earlier today. I wasn't able to catch any of the PC side, but the PS4 race saw quite a mixed bag as far as strategy is concerned. I saw at least 3 different strategies being utilized, with some people opting for the super soft and others for the soft in qualifying, and even still some opting to just go with the mediums. And Pinecone now goes quickest of all with that 127.7, going less than a tenth quicker than LCR Leopard. But yeah, it seemed like a pretty mixed bag as far as strategies are concerned. We don't know if we're going to be seeing that much variety in the Xbox stream as far as strategy is concerned. We do know historically the Xbox side does have worse tire wear, so we may see less people starting on the super softs. But with that said, Leopard went out there and set a pretty competitive time, I think, on a set of super softs. I mean, Pinecone did beat it on a set of mediums, so maybe it's not that competitive after all.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. As OMG, as Joe rounds the final corner, is he going to put a competitive time on the board on the medium tyre? He's going to cross the line now and go third quickest with a 1 minute 27.9. But absolutely, I mean, it's definitely a track where there's a variation in the strategy. You can mix it up. There's no clear-cut way to go with the strategy around here. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see how it pans out, what tyre they do choose to go for. And as you mentioned earlier, Justin, the medium does run well. It does run for a long distance around here, but it's whether the drivers choose to start on the supers or the softs. That's, of course, the very big question. But by the looks of it, going after the first 8 minutes of qualifying so far, it certainly seems like the majority don't fancy a set of super softs and fancy a set of soft tyres. So soft to medium looking like the most likely, given that we are now just over halfway through this session. Now, another thing I want to bring your attention to, Langman, he's been disqualified from the qualifying session just as we were going on air. He was coming out of the pits and his controller died, and he got disqualified from the session for blocking the pit lane exit. I've never seen that come up on my screen before, but that is a first in AOR. Langman disqualified from qualifying for blocking the pit lane exit. So there you go, Justin. What do you make of that one?
That is harsh. That is really harsh. Unfortunate for just a controller disconnect, but he'll be starting from the back. He'll be one of the ones starting on the mediums, I have the feeling. The pit window was opening up around lap 6, 7, 8, 9, around there as far as the PS4 side for, super soft and soft runners, really. So as we've been saying, the mediums can really go the distance. We're on board with Surprise, who has fitted a set of mediums at the moment. I think he's on a hot lap at the moment. He hasn't actually set a time, as we've got 10 out of the 15 times we'll be seeing today on the board, as Pinecone gets very nicely out of the way at the entrance of Spoon. For Surprise stays out of the way very nicely. Oh, big tank slapper there at the exit of Spoon. I think possibly just dipping a wheel into the gravel. So this is almost certainly not going to be a representative time from the one man that can actually stop CRG Evo from winning the championship, although after our little discussion that we had before the stream started, it is looking less and less likely that Evo is not going to be winning this championship. And I have to say, I think I mentioned this to you, Andy, a couple of weeks ago when we were doing Russia. Apparently, Ivo's been pretty confident about his chances of winning this championship for quite some time now. I won't say exactly who told me the information and what information they told me, but I think going back all the way to Canada, something like that, Ivo was feeling pretty confident about the championship win. I don't remember if he was actually echoing that sort of statement when he was doing the driver interviews after the races, but he's been quietly confident, we'll put it that way. And you have to say, it's looking very good for him to pick up the championship win this season.
Absolutely. Well, Ivo, of course, he won 5 of the first 7 races up to Canada, so at that point you're almost certainly he might not have been feeling himself, but certainly you've got to have that feeling that you're going to be on course to something great. 2 third places to back that up. So in the first 7 races he actually only dropped 20 points. I mean, that is incredible. And surprise, was his nearest rival, the only man that could stop him winning the championship, hadn't won a race until Silverstone round 10, so it just goes to show you that Ivo was well in control of this championship from very early doors. But, you know, I get the impression next season could be different. I'm not saying Ivo won't win it, but I think it could be a lot more competitive next season. Surprise has shown in the second half of the season just how strong he is. We've seen the rise of OMG Joe as well, winning a race too, so drivers out there than there maybe was at the start of the season fit to take it to Ivo. But remember, folks, the bottom line is Ivo can win the championship today. The gap at the moment stands at 93 points, and after this race there will only be 100 available. So put simply, if Ivo outscores Surprise by 7 points, he will be champion today. So that's what we're looking out for here in Japan. 93 points the gap. You know, you got to feel, Justin, it's going to either happen this week or next week, isn't it?
Yeah, I have that feeling. So essentially, if Ivo wins, actually, he's guaranteed to win the championship if he wins here today. Because Surprise would the best he would be able to do is second, and that's a 7-point deficit right there. So if Ivo wins, then he will win the championship in Hakkinen style at Suzuka, which I'm sure he would absolutely love. Not quite as much as the Flying Finn in previous seasons. Of course, he loves to emulate Mika Hakkinen even more than anybody else. But we do have some drivers out on track. We are now into very much the closing stages of this qualifying session. So everybody's going to be putting in their final attempts here. It looks like everybody has gone for the softs, according to my tree on the top left
apart from
here.
Reynolds.
Yeah, apart from Reynolds, who has fitted the super softs, maybe going for something alternative. Maybe something going on down at Mercedes, with Reynolds possibly doing some blocking for Surprise. We've seen teammates come into play previously this season, so it wouldn't be the first time that's happened, but maybe Reynolds is going for a high starting position in order to slow down Ivo.
Could be the case, absolutely, Justin. I mean, it's now getting to the point where he needs to throw caution to the wind, does the Mercedes team. They need to go for it if they want to deny the championship. I think it's a little bit too late, but if they want to keep it going a little bit longer, it would be a good idea. So it's a good thing to suggest, Justin. There's every possibility that could be the plan from the Mercedes drivers. But you're saying, you know, Ivo trying to emulate Hakkinen. I think Ivo in a Ferrari at Suzuka emulate Michael Schumacher winning a championship at Suzuka as well. So, yeah, I mean, that is another thing to remember. So, yeah, everything fits perfectly. We've had so many great deciders in a championship in real life here as well at Suzuka. So, you know, it would be fitting to win the championship here at a traditional circuit compared to somewhere like the USA, which is, of course, the next Grand Prix. So, yeah, it'd be nice to see him do it here, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be doing the Lewis Hamilton if you win at Circuit of the Americas.
Exactly.
Exactly. I will remember that day till I die, because I was right there when he was doing donuts after winning the championship. I completely missed the podium ceremony, though. The amount of time it took to walk from where I was sitting to where the podium was. I think they were actually walking off the podium right as I was getting there. It was the most unfortunate timing I've ever experienced. It was really, really sad. But the drivers now, less than 2 minutes remaining in this qualifying session before we see that checkered flag come out, marking the end of qualifying for this Japanese Grand Prix. We've got a yellow flag out in Sector 3. What'd you see?
Sector 3, I've just seen a big moment for Team Vodka Shot going through the right-hander, the left-hander of Dunlop. He just seemed to swap ends on the rear end of the car. Round it went, tried to save it, and he stuck it into the gravel trap. He'll get going again, but I think that could be the end of his session. If he's not damaged the tyres, he might get round for one more run. But I didn't see what the yellow was for in Sector 3, but as I went on board with Vodka Shot, he was going off the road at Dunlop. So his lap ruined. He might have time for another one.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go on board with Valache Alonso in that Alfa Romeo because he's just making his way through that final corner to start his final flying lap, as we now have less than a lap's worth of time remaining in this session, so this will definitely be his final attempt. Currently sits 7th in the timing standings with that 128.1, assuming that was done on the mediums, though, and he is now on the much faster yellow-marked soft compound tires, so we'll expect a pretty significant improvement from all of the drivers, but I imagine Valache Alonso in particular looking to improve. What'd you see?
Oh, Pinecone just having a little bit of a moment there, going through Spoon Corner. I think he's going to be the first of the main runners to hit a proper time on the board. Jason goes quickest on a 27.2, but Pinecone getting in a little bit of dirt, a little bit wide through Spoon, could then have cost him time as he comes round the final corner to complete the lap. What can Pinecone do? Can he topple his teammate? Yes, he can. A 1:27.0. That's what they're all aiming for, Justin. Mursel now topples it with a 26.9. Who's next to see the flag? I think it's going to be OMG, it's Joe.
The Force India just coming out of the final corner now. There he is, coming into shot. Simon now quickest of all, 128.7. Joe very, very close, less than a tenth off, actually, off of Simon, as one of only 3 drivers to dip into the 126s so far. And there is the checkered flag. Let's go over to Evo. Where is Evo right now? He's actually just coming out of Spoon, making the run down towards 130R. Surprise with a 126.5, 2 tenths quicker than CRG Simon through 130R. Goes the Ferrari of CRG Evo, the only man that hasn't set a time so far in this session, into the Casio triangle, through the final chicane, into the final corner. He goes hugging that inside line as much as he can, shortening the run to the line. And what is it going to be? It's not enough. 29 thousandths of a second is what separates Valache Surprise from CRG Evo on the front row of the grid for today's Japanese Grand Prix. Simon, I think, is done. Joe is done. Anyone else?
I don't think he's done. I don't think he's done, Justin. I think Simon was up through Sector 1. He was going for a second lap. He was up on his previous best through the first sector. So is Simon, is Joe, have they got anything left in the locker to deny them pole? Here comes Mursel first of all. He's going to see the checkered flag. Has he got any improvement? He's currently 7th. He goes 6th, but let's go to Simon, who's coming through the final chicane. Can he get in amongst the 2 title contenders? Can he get in amongst Surprise and Evo? Here comes Simon for the line. 2nd. He's on the front row. He's on the front row. What about Joe with a late run to the line? No, he's 4th. But the big key, Justin, Simon splits the 2 drivers at the top of the standings, and Leopard with a late run went P4 as well. And Simon splits Surprise and Evo, and that maybe, I know we've got a long race to come, strengthens the chances of this championship going another race, Justin.
Yeah, that is very surprising stuff. I really did not expect that from Simon, to be honest. He's kind of fallen off pace-wise a little bit. And in fact, I don't know if you caught that or not, but there appeared to be a stationary McLaren at the just past the pit entrance through the final corner. So I think that may have even actually cost Simon some time, possibly even 21 thousandths worth of time. But it is going to be the Red Bull that partners the Mercedes on the front row. Surprise picks up pole position, Simon alongside him. Then comes the 2 Ferraris with Evo outpacing Leopard by about 0.16 of a second. Then it's the Force India of OMG. It's Joe from 5th position alongside the leading Haas of Pinecone. 4th row of the grid is the Renault of Morso, starting ahead of the Monaco race winner P1R Brown. I love calling him that. MVP 0 starts from just inside the top 10 alongside the Alfa Romeo of Valache Alonso, and that is the top 10. And while we're switching over to the race session, let's very quickly just hear a word from our sponsors. You know, I don't have access to Hype Energy in the United States, and it's very unfortunate. I would love to try the mojito flavor.
Yeah, I've never tried any of them. I'd love to try them. I've got to say, I'd absolutely love to try them.
Just let me know how it goes.
but I've not seen it anywhere yet. I need to get my hands on it, Justin. But we'll wait and see. But yeah, I've got to say I'm looking forward to this one. I was just looking, Justin, at the final top 10 there. Look, half a second between the top 10 cars. I mean, that's extremely tight going on this season so far. So tight between the top 10. Avalochi Alonso in 10th place. That just shows you how competitive it is in this tier at the moment. And not only that, 300s between the top 3 drivers. So I think we're in for a thrilling race.
And the top 10 are all on the softs that they, of course, qualified on. And then Jason 97 F1, I have to imagine, is in possibly his favorite starting location, which is just outside the top 10. So he is the leading medium runner, and I have a feeling that he's going to be gaining a lot of positions during the race. So we'll be keeping an eye on the Haas of Jason, of course. But then we've got Restev just behind him, Matt 212 in 13th, Reynolds alongside him, and then Vodka Shot, and the unfortunately disqualified from qualifying Langman 17, who, oh, wow, Simon going very deep into that Kobayashi hairpin there, into it's turn 11, right? Yeah, turn 11 hairpin. But it is Surprise who, again, is leading the way for today's Japanese Grand Prix. And crucially for him, I think, Andy, he's got Simon in between him and Evo.
Yeah, that was probably a massive qualifying session for Surprise to keep the championship alive. I know saying massive sounds a bit crazy given how late it is in the day for a championship battle, but, you know, Evo wants to get the job done, and for Simon to get in between them, that makes his life that much more difficult. It gives Surprise that extra little edge he's looking for to just prolong this battle and stop Evo from getting prepared for next season, and you know, don't give him an easy ride at all, and make it as uncomfortable as possible. 27 laps ahead of the drivers. I've spoken to Matt, who always gives me the weather, and he has confirmed we're expecting no rain, overcast skies, partly cloudy skies for the duration of this race. So dry running throughout, and it should be a super speedy and exciting race throughout. Who's your money on, Justin? I'm going to go for Veloci Surprise.
Yeah, I got to go Surprise, especially with Simon in second position, unless Evo really pulls off some serious magic here. And we do know that this can be a difficult race as far as tires are concerned, and Evo is quite good at that sort of thing, but I have to say Surprise has been driving absolutely superbly in the later stages of this season, and of course picking up that win in Russia. But we go down to the grid now. Surprise from pole position. The lights are coming on now. He's got the Red Bull of Simon right alongside him. Who's going to lead into turn 1? It's lights out, and the cars are away. A bit of wheel spin, it looked like there from Surprise, but it doesn't look like Simon is going to be able to pull alongside, but it looks like actually Leopard, or is that Evo that's pulling alongside him up the inside? That is Leopard, actually. He's already made the jump on his teammate. That's very surprising. He's going to be side by side with the Red Bull as they make their way out of turn 2 into turn 3, and he's done it! Leopard is up! He's made up 2 positions in 2 corners up into second. Unbelievable start for the Ferrari driver who finished on the podium last time out in Russia. Absolutely chuffed about that one. Simon is going to be in third position with Evo absolutely harassing him, and Joe right behind as they make their way through the Degners as well. Pinecone not that far behind either. It looked like a pretty good, clean start as far as I could see.
Yeah, what a start from LCR Leopard. What a getaway. Well, Leopards are fast, but look how fast he was off the line. And up into P2 he goes. The perfect getaway for the Ferrari driver. And it just compounds the misery for CRG Evo. It looks like the championship could be going for another race. But of course, we've still got a long, long way to go here today. And what a fantastic start from Leopard. He's got the jump. Alonso up 3 places as well. So they're the big gainers on this opening lap. Vodka Shot and Langman up 1 as well. Down 2 for Reynolds near the back of the field. So they are the big changes in the order. And this opening lap at a 27. Look at Veloci Alonso. He's right up behind Pinecone. He's going down the outside into the Casio triangle. He can't quite do it. Stays behind for now. And is still up to P7. It's been a really good start from the Alfa Romeo driver. And he's looking to make more ground, Justin.
Great start and a great exit as well as Pinecone feels the need to go defensive on the run down towards turn 1. He'll try to swoop around the outside. Will Alonso, that's going to be very difficult with equal tires. Let's go to an off-board shot. They're still side by side through turn 2 on the run down towards turn 3. Inside line though for the Alfa Romeo. Can he do it? Just about. Squeezes the Haas out and takes that position. That's 4 positions gained in about a lap and a quarter or so for the Alfa Romeo driver. Fantastic stuff from Alonso, really seeming to be on form here today in Suzuka. Meanwhile, Surprise already with over a 1 second gap between himself and Leopard, which is crucial. No DRS active just yet, so he needs to continue trying to build that gap to the Ferrari behind him and put as much buffer between himself and the championship leader CRG Evo, who currently sits in 4th position behind the Red Bull of Simon, as Alonso now turns his focus towards the Force India up ahead. He's not seeing red, he's seeing pink as he tries to close in. He's not going to be close enough to pick up the DRS, which of course is not active yet either, but Pinecone sticking with him. It's very, very close throughout the field, actually. I have to say, Reynolds the only one who actually retired earlier. He's the only one that's really outside of any sort of battle. Yeah, everybody's within a second except for Matt 212.
Incredible. It really is a good start to the race. And here comes Pinecone.
Yep.
He's going to try and come straight back at Veloci Alonso. He dives up the inside, has a little look. Alonso, flustered by that, runs a little bit deep into the Casio triangle. And on the exit, Pinecone will sweep right around the outside and move up into P6. Beautiful move. Alonso, who's been on a charge so far, is now being swamped. Pinecone overtakes him. Mursel's on the attack. Now Alonso down the outside of Pinecone through turns 1 and 2. They're on their feet down there, and Pinecone holds on. Great racing between the pair, and there's slight touch there between them, I think. Alonso gets back involved. Somehow Pinecone doesn't go off the road, and it's a real squeeze to keep him behind. Awesome stuff, right on the limit, right on the edge, and Pinecone stays in front. Just what we like to see in AOR, Justin. Awesome racing.
That was incredible stuff. That is not a part of the circuit that you do not want to be going side by side, and they actually pulled it off. As you said, I think there was a little bit of a touch, no damage or anything, as MVP Zero now is going to try it at the Kobayashi hairpin around the outside on the Renault of Morso. Can't quite make it work, though. The Renault with the better exit out of turn 11 is going to hold on to that position for now, but Alonso has dropped back down into 7th. Oh gosh, actually Zero, I thought he was going to go side by side for a second there into the entrance of Spoon. Very close racing. Still about 1 second gap between Leopard and Surprise. Just inside 1 second now, actually. Let's go on board with Leopard. Let's have a quick look at him. I know lots of battling going on in the midfield at the moment, but is he going to be close enough? Yes, he's got it down to less than 9/10 between himself and Surprise, which is actually going to be more important for Evo, I think, than it is for Leopard, because, of course, if Surprise breaks away now, builds that gap, it's going to be nigh on impossible for Evo to try and claw that back.
Absolutely, and Evo now getting himself to within 2/10 of Simon. He's right behind him, but because they're all following each other in that group, it's hard to see where the position change will come. I think it's going to come, if anywhere, between Pinecone and Alonso, because there's already a 2.4 second gap between Pinecone and Joe, and even Joe is not keeping up pace with the front four, which is a little bit surprising. His form is continuing to slip slightly, Justin, you could say, but pardon me, there's a real gap, a real gaggle of cars going on there from 6th down. Pinecone, Alonso, Murso, Zero and Brown. It's a fantastic scrap. I wonder who's going to come out on top, as Leopard, to be fair to him, having dropped out of that 1 second window up front, Justin, is now within 8/10 again, so he's holding in, not dropping away, and the top four separated by absolutely nothing. So two great battles developing.
Impressive stuff. I have to say, impressive from OMG. It's Joe as well too, because yeah, he just got within DRS range on Evo. Actually, it's bouncing around in and out of the DRS range at the moment, but OMG, it's Joe, I think, was more than a second and a half adrift of the Ferrari of Evo previously, so to claw that time back is definitely impressive, as Leopard now losing that DRS range on Surprises. We're focused on the midfield battles a little bit further down. Alonso is trying to pick up the slipstream off of Pinecone here, as Matt 212 becomes the first to fall victim to a 3-second time penalty, which I don't think we're going to see a ton of time penalties in this race. I don't think it's a corner cutting extravaganza or anything like that, so I think we should be okay for most of the drivers. But Joe is crucially within that 1 second, and Leopard is not, so big shakeups at the front starting to happen, I think.
Is definitely in a vulnerable position now if he doesn't get straight back within that DRS zone, because Simon was snooping around the rear of that Ferrari, getting ready to make a move, and he's stuck in the middle of an Italian sandwich at the moment. He's the meatballs in that spaghetti. Oh, that doesn't even make sense. That doesn't even make sense.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. Go with it.
It'll do. It sticks. It sticks. Anyway, Simon then. He's 4/10 behind LCR Leopard, and Leopard now 1.2 watch is surprise, and you've got to feel Simon senses a moment, senses an opportunity, and you've got to feel he's going to take that chance as soon as it arrives, and you've got to feel it will be on this very lap as Surprise opens out a 1.5 second lead. Surely Simon senses the danger, senses the moment. At the same time, Joe within 7/10 of this group now, so it's all bunching up from second down to fifth as Simon moves into range. The German driver in the Red Bull, who's had a great opening to the season. It's kind of gone a bit flat recently. It's starting to reignite right at the end of the season as they run down towards 130R on what, lap 5 out of 26. He's gaining on Leopard. Is he going to switch to the inside? There's history between these two. Remember back to Baku. Remember what Simon once said about Leopard. Leopard holding on for now in P2. Good stuff. KG.
Yeah, just about holding on. It's very, very close. And clearly he had a terrible Sector 2 last lap and not so great Sector 3 either. And here we go with DRS. Around the outside goes the Red Bull of Simon, but he's not quite able to make that move with Leopard holding the inside through turns 1 and 2. So he will hold on to that position. Oh, he's got Evo right behind him though. See, and that's the problem. That's the situation that Simon now finds himself in, because if he goes for the overtake on Leopard and makes any sort of mistake whatsoever, Evo is going to immediately capitalize on that and move himself up into a podium position. So he's got to be really careful. He's got to pick and choose his battles here. But it really does seem that Leopard is struggling, losing another half a second or so through Sector 1 and into Sector 2 of lap number 6 now, as we're starting to get into the pit window range. So we might see some drivers starting to come into the pits starting at the end of this lap, running all the way until I think lap 10, maybe 11 if anybody's really able to push it on these soft compound tires. But again, it is all softs at the front with all mediums at the back for the most part. I think there was one runner outside the top 10 that opted for the softs. But yeah, it is now 2 seconds, almost 2.1 seconds between Leopard and Simon. And I think Leopard might need to change his name to LCR Cheetah with the way that he's been driving in these recent races, because this is absolutely phenomenal. And I think Evo is comfortable enough in that championship position. Again, it's nigh on impossible for Surprise to win the championship at this point. So I think Evo is comfortable enough in the championship that he can let Leopard go off like that and not begin to panic about what this might do with the championship. He's got that 93-point deficit between himself and Surprise, who currently leads this Japanese Grand Prix. And look at that. Leopard has actually clawed some time back.
Well, he's up against it. There's no doubt about it. Evo, as you say, Justin, does he really need to get involved? I mean, it will make him sleep easy if he wraps it up sooner. You know what I mean? It gives him the opportunity to prepare for next season. You want to put it to bed. That's what you want to do. But when he's got such a big gap, just take it easy. We know how consistent Evo is anyway. He finishes every race. He's in the points all the time anyway. So, going by his form up to this point, it's almost a certainty that he's just going to continue finishing in fourth or whatever, and he'd win the championship at the next race. So, no reason to worry. And just let Leopard enjoy himself out there in second place. And as you say, he's clawing the gap back to Surprise slowly. But I got to feel that 2 second gap now is going to be so hard to claw back. And he's going to have to stay defending from Simon, who I'm surprised by this point hasn't been able to get past that Ferrari. But surely on this occasion he will have another really good attempt as they run down towards 130R once again. The Red Bull gaining and gaining. He's in mode 1 at the moment as he goes attacking down into the Casio Triangle. Doesn't think about a move up the inside. You've got to feel the best opportunity is always down into turn 1, Justin, isn't it? And it looks like he's lining it up here.
Yep, with the DRS, with the slipstream, will Leopard defend the inside line as the Red Bull sweeps over to the right-hand side. Leopard opting not to defend the inside line for that one. It could be smart, actually, with the inside line for turn 3, but no, actually the Red Bull breezes right on through, and now Leopard finds himself directly ahead of his teammate and championship leader, CRG Evo. OMG, it's Joe, unfortunately, losing a bit of time, it seems, to that group. It's kind of stabilized that gap down to the Force India about 2 seconds or so. He's not really coming under pressure from Pinecone, though. I think Pinecone has enough to worry about with Alonso, more so. MVP 0, P1R Brown, all pretty close. Jason 97 F1 was actually doing a really good job of keeping up with the pack on that medium compound tires, because of course he started from 11th, just outside the top 10 on a brand new set of mediums, and it was working out rather well for him as there was lots of battling going on in the midfield, and that was allowing him to keep up. And it seems that gap starting to grow now. He's really struggling to keep up with P1R Brown, but of course those mediums will come into their own as the race progresses, and it seems that Leopard is losing losing a lot of ground here to Simon, if I'm not mistaken, and it seems that Evo, now definitely the faster of the two Ferraris, I imagine he's going to be looking to get past Leopard here as quick as he can.
It looks like Evo is well in position now behind Leopard, and it's a matter of time, you have to feel, before he gets through. But the fact is, Leopard is still within that DRS. He might have dropped off the back of Simon, but he's still within the DRS, and that might save him from Evo coming past. And we've seen Leopard, he likes to fight. I don't think there'll be any way he'll move out the way, and he pits anyway. You did say around lap 7, even for the soft tyres, Justin, and he's going for a massive, aggressive undercut to try and move back ahead of Simon. So let's see how it pans out for LCR Leopard. He's in. He's been joined in the pits by OMG It's Joe. So those who were losing ground in the opening stint, making the early call to try and get some payback, Justin, before the other guys pit. So a real opportunity here for Leopard and Joe to pump in some quick lap times on fresh tyres and clean air. Let's see how it goes.
We did miss an overtake from Alonso on Pinecone, so now it's Alonso that's leading this absolute train of cars. You can see 5 cars in one shot on lap 9, which is incredible stuff. Love to see it, but Alonso has cleared Pinecone now, so we'll see if he can actually extend that gap or stay ahead. But I have a feeling, a sneaking suspicion, that Leopard is pitting rather early, and I think it might have more to do with surprise than it does with Simon. I don't know. I think Leopard might be really playing the team game here and looking to actually make the undercut on surprise. So if you're surprised here, do you pit this lap in order to protect against that, or do you play it safe, come in whenever you were planning to come in?
It really is a tough one. I'm not sure, Justin. I'm going to monitor the gap from Leopard to the leader. It's 25 seconds at the moment, so until surprise pits, I'll keep you posted if that changes. But look at this battle. This is incredible. Pinecone again having a look up the inside as Simon now has made the call for the pit. So this will be a good indicator to see where Simon is in relation to Leopard. But for now, let's focus on this. Across the start line, against the pit wall goes Pinecone. Look at that. It's like Barrichello Schumacher down towards turn 1. Pincone's on the inside, and he's back up ahead of Veloci Alonso. Yes. And this action is absolutely magnificent. No quarter given between either driver, and Pinecone forces his way back ahead of Veloci Alonso. Incredible stuff.
I have to say, I am becoming a Pinecone fan. I am definitely becoming a fan of Pinecone as this season goes on. Really, I'm a Haas man when it comes to playing favorites, because Jason and Pinecone have proven to be a very potent combination. The two of them putting in some absolutely incredible results, really punching above their weight when it comes to the results we were expecting from them this season compared to the results that we've actually seen from them this season. In the end, Simon did come out ahead of Leopard, so Leopard was not able to jump Simon. Surprise has not come into the pits just yet, though. However, I have to imagine with Simon pitting at the end of lap 10, we will almost certainly see the Mercedes of Surprise coming into the pits here at the end of lap 10 for a 17-lap stint on those medium tires. And that should, I think, just about keep him in the lead of this race, because Simon is maybe holding up Leopard. I really don't know, as because I'm really focused on this battle for what is effectively third at the moment. Oh, that's very deep for Morso. That's going to lose him a bit of time to the Alfa Romeo ahead of him as Alonso comes into the pits. Morso comes into the pits. MVP 0 into the pits. Jason 97 F1 continues on. Remember, he is, of course, on the medium tire. So it is actually a Haas 1-2 here from Suzuka as it stands right now.
Haas 1-2. Let's see who's going to take the lead of this race. Is it still going to be Veloci Surprise? Here he comes down the pit lane exit. He's going to be ahead, but look at Evo. Evo could jump here. Oh, look how close it is. Is he in between the two? His teammate just behind. Evo, goodness me. I'm surprised that those guys weren't able to get the tyres up to temperature. Almost an overcut there working for Evo, and he stays down in behind Leopard and Simon. But goodness me, I did expect Leopard and Simon to be a little bit further up the road than that, Justin, didn't you?
Yeah, Evo tends to be good at that sort of thing. He's very sneaky. People don't give him enough credit for his sneakiness, but Evo's very sneaky, and we noticed that he really wasn't applying a ton of pressure when all three of them were really bunched up during the first stint. So I have a sneaking suspicion that he was probably holding off on those tires and actually attempting the overcut intentionally. So Evo's one of the few drivers that I think could effectively pull that off. You really got to be able to be quick and also conserve your tire life in order to pull up an overtake without any sort of refueling or anything like that. So, but yeah, Evo's one of the people that can do that, and he nearly did do that. Let's take a quick look at the tire life. And yeah, as you guys can see, Evo and Surprise have the healthiest tires out of everybody, except for Alonso as well. Alonso as well on pretty healthy tires. However, he's about 5.5 seconds adrift of Evo, so I would be very surprised if he involved himself in any sort of podium battle later on in this race, as Simon sets the fastest lap with the 1:30.2 on that set of medium compound tires. But yeah, that was his second lap completed on it, so clearly I think we're seeing the mediums just take a little bit to warm up, and that gave Evo that very, very narrow shot of being able to overcut. Didn't quite execute it to perfection, however, it was very, very close, and put on a good show for us too.
Yeah, it was good. It was really close on the exit. Nearly the two Ferraris colliding going through the first corner. That would have been something incredible. Would have really shook the championship foundations, wouldn't it? But no, wasn't to be. But Surprise now back out in the lead. But Simon, to be fair, is a little bit closer now. 1.2 seconds. We know how quick Simon can be on his day. There's every possibility he could get himself within range and end the championship dreams of Veloci Surprise if he gets ahead of him, because, of course, Surprise would then collect 18 points, Evo would collect 12, and that would only be 6 points, and it would need to be more than that. So, yeah, oh, hold on. No, that would still be okay, wouldn't it? Because Evo has to outscore by 7. Ignore that. My mistake. But certainly it would be a dent in the hopes of Surprise if Simon was to get ahead. But we know Simon's got the pace, so this one isn't over. No doubt about it. It's Surprise versus Simon. Should be a cracking fight as Evo now gets back within range of Leopard. Is he finally going to get ahead of his teammate, who in recent races has really been performing really admirably, really well. And here he comes. Surprise sets a brand new fastest lap of the race, but Evo, we've seen this already with Simon. Surely Leopard won't fight this. He won't. Alongside goes Evo, and down towards turn 1. The champions-elect takes the place and moves up into P6, Justin.
Yep, mode 0 for Leopard as he was, quote-unquote, defending that one. So I think that was a bit of generosity on the part of Leopard. Great to see him fighting, though. I mean, he took the fight to Evo at the start of this race, and he won. And, you know, that is worth remembering for sure. I'm really glad that Leopard felt like he could bring the fight to his teammate despite the championship battle still raging on into round 17 of this 16th season with Apex Online Racing. So really, really fantastic to see. I'm really happy about how Leopard is turning out with this season. I'm looking forward to future seasons already. And of course, we're already thinking about future seasons because of Evo's domination in this championship. But just returning back to that ever so briefly, as I think we have a little bit of a break in the action. I'll put the camera on more so just in case something happens there between himself and Alonso. But yeah, I think we've seen more improvement from everyone else than we have from Evo. Now, of course, it is harder to improve when your driving is almost perfect. So it's not surprising that Evo is struggling to find extra tenths compared to everybody else. But I have to say, it's really been fantastic. Oh, as Jason comes in already on the set of mediums, he does a 13-lap stint. So he's going to do 14 laps on a set of softs. That'll be very interesting to watch on that one. But unsurprisingly, we've seen huge improvements from the likes of Surprise and Leopard and Joe and even Pinecone. Alonso's back as well too. So while the season has gone all Evo's way, I don't expect it to continue like that. I think for future seasons, he's going to have a harder time.
Absolutely, Justin. I mean, you just have to look at the graphics to this point. First 9 rounds of the season, he won 7 out of 9. Down to the 15th round, he's won 2. 6th, 4th, 2nd, 1st, 2nd, 1st. Okay, he's picked up his form again in recent weeks, but it's not the same consistency, the same number of race wins that we saw at the start of the season. But I still think going into next season, he's the favourite, and it's because he's consistent. He's so consistent. If he's having a bad day, he's still there or thereabouts, and that is why Evo will still be a strong favourite for the title, no doubt. But he's not going to have it all his own way. He certainly did it the early part of this season, but going forward, he won't have it all his own way. You just need to look at surprise this season. So many second places in those first 7 rounds, and and now picking up wins regularly as well. And that's something that Evo's going to have to contend with quite a lot.
And Surprise has Surprise. I don't know if he's actually. Yeah, I believe he's younger than Evo because he couldn't take part in F1 esports, and Evo could. So, just by logic, that would tell me that he's younger than him. But Evo's been on that center stage. He's done the F1 esports and stuff like that. He's had a bit more. He's had a bit more practice as we've got side by side Alonso around the outside at turn 1 on Pinecone. This battle just will not quit. They're still side by side at the exit of turn 2, but the Alfa Romeo does narrowly edge ahead of the Haas into turn 3 and retakes that 6th place position. But I have to say, I'm a bit disappointed in the Alonso charts because he made up those 4 positions in less than 2 laps, and then he's just been kind of held up by Pinecone. But again, that kind of makes me like Pinecone that little bit more because, again, Pinecone's another one of those drivers that was too young to compete in the F1 esports. He's sort of like a rising star now within Apex Online Racing, certainly in my mind anyway, and I would imagine in the minds of a lot of drivers with all the podiums he's been putting in this season. It's been really incredible to watch the young Haas driver, but he's been a bit of a headache, a bit of a thorn in the side of Alonso. Alonso got up to 6th, lost it, and then got back up to 6th, lost it, and then got back. He's back up to 6th now for the 3rd time running, as we're now just getting past the halfway point of this race. But what's really interesting is actually they're closing in on Joe. So this multi-car battle that we've had going on in the midfield is actually about to grow by a factor of 1 because they're now within DRS range on Joe, who seems to be not having his worst race of the season, certainly, but definitely not his best.
Yeah, definitely, Justin. Expectations of Joe have risen as the season's gone on. That's Hungary. The case. So, like Joe in the early part of the season, 5th, you'd think, okay, he's having a solid race. Now we think he's below par, and I would go along with that. And it may sound harsh, but given the form he has shown at times this season, you start to wonder, where's the pace gone? And now all of a sudden, from fighting the guys at the front, the door of fighting them this afternoon, he's now going to be fighting these guys. And if he loses out in this battle, he's only going to be collecting a handful of points. And there you go, 3-second time penalty under serious pressure from Alonso and Pinecone. And there's a possibility that his day could unravel, as it's done in recent weeks, as we saw in Singapore. So he's going to have to remain focused if he wants to keep these guys behind, because he's got to remain strong, because we've seen how strong Alonso and Pinecone are battling one another. They take no prisoners. So let's keep an eye on it. Pinecone still trying to nibble back at Veloci Alonso. I'm pretty sure it was Pinecone that got in the way of Alonso is charging back in Monza as well and derailed that. So, and there you go. It has gone pear-shaped for OMG. It's Joe. He leaves the lobby right as we're about to have a fantastic battle. And that's a real shame for him. And his session has been derailed. But look at Pinecone trying to go down the outside of Alonso. These two are becoming a fantastic battle to watch. They really are. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
And at the moment...
Go ahead. Yeah, a fantastic battle between these two guys. Actually, let's go on board with Pinecone, because he's got the DRS here on Alonso. He's going to try to do the same thing that Alonso did to him on the previous lap. Around the outside, he's done it, actually. He's still going to be side by side with the Alfa Romeo. Oh, but carrying lots of speed was Veloci Alonso through turn 3 there. Does manage to stay ahead of the Haas after the Force India kind of got a little bit in the way there. I think that was a little unnerving for them to be driving through, because it looked like a 3-way battle, but it wasn't, because of OMG, it's Joe leaving the session or disconnecting from the session. And I wonder if that has anything to do with his performance loss that he had been having in the recent laps in this race, because as I mentioned, he was keeping up about a 2-second gap to the leading 4 cars, who have all now spread out by a significant margin, which is why we are so focused on this battle for 5th position, because it's over a second from 1st to 2nd to 3rd to 4th, and then a 7-second gap now between 4th and 5th. So we really do have 2 different formulas racing here today. I haven't seen a gap like that, actually, after only less than 17 laps of racing. Haven't seen a gap like that. So very surprising stuff here. It seems the Suzuka circuit has really separated the men from the boys here. Let's see if Pinecone can do anything into 130R, into the Casio triangle. He's picking up the slipstream. He's on 0, so yeah, I don't think he's actually deploying anything there. Simon sets the fastest lap with a 129.9. And let's see if Pinecone, let's go on board once again with the young Haas driver, DRS Open. He's a few car lengths back this time. I don't think he's going to be much of a threat to Alonso on this occasion into turn 1. He's getting closer and closer to the back of that Alfa Romeo as they turn in for turn 1, and he's not alongside. More so keeping up to the back of Pinecone as well. And P1R Brown, shout out to P1R Brown, bringing up the rear of this group. But I have to say, driving pretty well. He is on the oldest tires out of everybody in this pack, though. So you have to say he is a little bit of an underdog as far as this is all concerned. But shout out to P1R Brown, having a pretty good race today. He's only in P8, but he's in a position to potentially capitalize and gain a double-digit point finish here. He's got 5th place position just up the road. You can see that Alfa Romeo just right there. So I'm certainly not going to discount him. Oh, and actually, Jason 97 F1 and MVP 0 have now closed in on this pack, so this is now a 6-way battle for 5th position.
And you mentioned P1R Brown not been out of it, but there's one man who is right in with a chance, and that is Jason.
Yeah.
Soft tyres on, 4 laps done on them. He is going to be the man on the move. So Jason, and at 5 seconds, stop-go penalty. Veloci surprise, exceeding track limits, and that could decide where this World Championship's going today. Incredible.
Now, he can have that removed. I think that happened at the Casio Triangle. I was watching on the PS4 side, and I don't know if he can have that removed or not. So we'll have to keep that in mind. But I'm focused on Pinecone once again. Very similar. It's about 3/10 from Alonso to Pinecone, Pinecone to Morso. None of them able to pull alongside one another heading into turn 1. Jason 97 F1 as well, holding station in P9 on those fresh, soft compound tires. And he's picking up lots of dirty air, of course, through the S section, through Sector 1. But surprise, with that 5-second penalty, in fact, let me go ahead and put it to the leader. That would almost put him behind Leopard, actually.
Looking good if that penalty was to stand. If it was to stand, it would be the end of the championship road for Veloci Surprise, and it would be the crowning moment for Evo. But look at this battle. This is awesome. I mean, these guys, get the popcorn out at home, folks. It has been brilliant between these guys. Alonso, Pinecone, Murso, MVP 0, all in a mammoth scrap for position. This reminds me a little bit of Hungary. I'm the only one that can talk about Hungary. I'm the only one that saw it. but this is what it reminds me of. And I tell you what, I want to have a quick word on Jason. He's your favourite on the grid. It's the worst kept secret, Justin, that he's your favourite on the grid. But Jason, what I like about him is not only is he consistent, when he gets a smell at an opportunity, he's just like Daniel Ricciardo. He grabs it with both hands and takes it. So let's keep an eye on him over the next 7 or so laps. He will be charging through the field back towards the top 5, and I wouldn't discount him from getting there. Back up at the head of that group, Alonso still holding on ahead of Pinecone. Pinecone just can't get quite close enough at the moment coming out of that final corner to make the move, can he, Justin?
No, it's more so as well, too. He gets just about within the gearbox range of that Haas as they get to the end of the DRS straight, but unfortunately not actually able to pull alongside. So it does seem that third time lucky for Alonso was the factor here today, because he got up into that position 3 times, and now he's finally been able to hold on to it, as it seems Pinecone just does not have an answer for the straight line speed of that Alfa Romeo, and just not able to find a way past. He does seem equally as quick. I mean, Alonso is not pulling away from this group, and he's not really dropping off the leading 4 either. It's still remaining about 7 seconds, so he's lapping about as quickly as the leaders are, and the 5 cars that are running in very close proximity behind him are all keeping up that same pace as well, too. So very tense for Alonso, but again, another seasoned veteran of not just sim racing, but in particular Codemasters F1 game sim racing, as Pinecone gets very close, tantalizingly close. That's got to be, it's just teasing him as he gets really, really close to the back end of that Alfa Romeo. Let's go on board with the Haas. I'm going to gamble here and hope that nothing happens behind Pinecone as he picks up the DRS. He does seem ever so closer this time, as he's only in mode 3. Actually, he switches to the inside. That's a very, very surprising and dangerous maneuver from the young Haas driver. That was never going to work out. I appreciate your optimism, Pinecone, but yeah, that was never going to happen as everybody maintains the position they were in. Really just the entire, it's that Constantina effect, you know, that accordion effect. Everybody closes in at turn 1 and then they start to spread out again. And very surprising stuff there from the young Haas driver. I really was not expecting that.
I'm just watching it again. The stream's a little bit delayed, of course, to what we were saying. Oh, goodness me, they're so tight up against the grass, and there wasn't quite any way through, and it's just hurting all their races, isn't it? I mean, to be honest, none of them's going to get anywhere near Leopard up the road, so this is going to be a fantastic scrap between the lot of them to the end of this Grand Prix. And, you know, the good thing for Alonso is I think he's quite confident at keeping Pinecone behind, but, you know, the issue is if Jason starts picking up places through this group, he is the major threat, isn't he? He is the man that's going to have the advantage. But for how much longer? Because the softs will start to wear out. We know the mediums can hold on quite well in this race. So if Jason wants to make any moves, he needs to start doing them now, doesn't he, Justin?
Yeah, he really does. Yeah, we're starting to run out of time. Oh, sorry, I was on board with MVP Zero as he got into the braking zone for the Casio Triangle.
Back!
Oh, John!
He's back!
Unbelievable!
He's back! That was second race in a row. Jonathan Ledyard joins us in the commentary box. Who is trolling us? Who is trolling us? Someone is after our job and is trolling us. I don't know who it is.
Very strange. I really don't know. This is becoming a running joke on the Xbox platform for the F1 League on Apex Online Racing, though, as Jonathan Ledyard joins us once again. Is this the second or the third time? Is this the third time?
Second time.
Second time.
Successive race.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure who keeps inviting John in here or how he keeps finding us, but he seems very keen. You know, it's good racing. I don't completely blame him. But, yeah, MVP Zero, right as Jonathan Ledyard was joining there, MVP Zero going off at the Casio Triangle. It doesn't seem to have lost him all that much time. This is very interesting as well. Team Vodka Shot is almost within DRS range and possibly looking to make this a 7-car battle.
Yep, absolutely. Just throw another one into the mix. Why not? It is AOR after all. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. As I think Alonso could be under a lot of pressure here, Justin. He's really close as Pinecone, and this is before they even reach the final chicane. And look at this, he's going to go around the outside, is he? He positions his car in a good area of the track. Alonso is going to be compromised now. I think Alonso just hovered there on the throttle, forced Pinecone to get out the gas, and that might have helped him. Now they run down the start-finish line, and Alonso really does need to defend. He defends the inside. Pinecone down the outside. They're trading pain going into turn 1 with the overspeed. Pinecone round the outside. Alonso keeps his foot in and holds on to P5. Awesome racing once again from these two. Absolutely brilliant. So aggressive from the pair, right on the limit, but somehow, again, they don't run into each other, Justin, and that is what we love to see in AOR. Brilliant stuff.
Really incredible. Can I give both of them the driver of the day? Can I vote for both Alonso and Pinecone? Can we have the first ever drivers of the day? Is that an option? Pairing of the day? I don't even know, but here we go again. Round number 17, I can only imagine at this point, around the outside at the turn 11 hairpin for the Haas, but no, he gets a little bit of a squeeze at the exit, runs off into the grass. That's certainly not going to help him on the run down towards Spoon Curve. As, again, the cars are running very close to one another. It seems a bit of a gap has developed between Morso and Brown, though, as we've now split into kind of two groups of three. Still no movement, though, from Jason 97 F1, the only driver in this group running on the soft compound tires. Really surprising stuff here from him. As they come to the end of this lap, there's only going to be 5 laps remaining in this Japanese Grand Prix. Veloci Surprise setting another fastest lap of the race, dipping now into the 129.8s for the Mercedes driver. Here we go through the Casio Triangle, through the final corner once again. Let's go on board with Pinecone. It's about a car length and a half, maybe 2 car lengths as he opens up the DRS. Let's get rid of this UI one more time as we head down towards turn 1. Once again, defending the inside line very aggressively. Unsurprising there from Alonso. Very wide is the Haas. Here comes the Renault up the inside into turn 2, side by side between the pair of them. But no, the Haas maintains position. Pinecone holds on to that 6th place position. Excuse me, I'm completely lost now without the UI. Wow, very close stuff there. Once again, Pinecone he's getting desperate now, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is. I'm absolutely loving it, though. I really am loving it. I keep saying it. Deja vu into turn one on every single lap, and it's brilliant stuff between the two drivers. Pinecone really is a sign in the Veloci Alonso's side ever since he returned to the series back in Spa, and you know, he's really letting them know that the youngsters are after his Veloci place at the Sauber team. He's showing them he can really fight amongst them. Great effort from Pinecone. Can he get past him though? Can he find a way through ahead of Veloci Alonso? It's brilliant stuff. Interestingly, out front, 3.2 the gap between Surprise and Evo. He's pumping in fastest laps, trying his best to open out the gap, but I think it's too little too late with regards to the championship. But we'll stick with this at the moment. It's Alonso fifth, it's Pinecone in sixth. Are we going to see a move anytime soon, as my TV has just went into a random menu? But we're back to the action, never mind. And here comes Pinecone then. Is he going to have a look going down the start finish straight? He's just too far back again, Justin.
Yeah.
And at the moment, it looks like Jason's the man to watch in P9, attacking P1R Brown on those soft tyres. Is he going to get a run into turn one? P1R Brown's got the DRS. Jason does too, though. Round the outside, he tries to switch to the inside. Can't do it. And I think that's what's hurting Jason here. Everyone in front having the DRS, making things extremely tough for him. And he just can't make the headway he'd have been hoping for.
Yeah, it's extremely difficult to make any sort of overtakes at any other locations, and we know that Jason is not a super aggressive overtaker either, so he's going to need to make something happen, possibly into the turn 11 hairpin. Possibly
Zero was nearly up the inside on Jason into the Degner there, this first Degner. He was all over the back of him. I was on board with Jason, then flicked out to the outboard cam, and then almost up the inside went Zero, but you know, Jason maybe going to start struggling now with tyre life, Justin. That could be his next problem, and he may have to worry about what's going on behind him rather than in front of him. So Jason, who was looking like making a real charge up through the field, it's kind of gone a little bit flat for him. But look at Pinecone, he's again right on the case of Veloci Alonso. He just won't give this guy a moment's peace as they run down towards 130R. Lap 25 now out of 27. Justin, a few laps ago, said it was round 17 between these two. I call this about round 23. Round the outside. Passive Pinecone. Again, Alonso defends, but he's close this time. Alonso gets a little bit weary on the exit of the corner, and the DRS is open. He's going to have to defend to the pit wall. Here comes Pinecone. Is this going to be a decisive moment in this titanic battle for P5? Round the outside he goes. Alonso still on the inside, refuses to lie down, and they go side by side through the S's, and Veloci Alonso holds on to his fifth place still, Justin. Unbelievable.
I've never seen so many side-by-side moments into turn 3 at Suzuka in my entire life. Oh, Alonso! No. Contact between them. Morso is going to take the position on Pinecone. He'll have the inside line for both Degners, of course, and he's done it. Morso sneaks ahead after that contact between the Alfa Romeo and the Haas. Morso moving himself up into 6th position after that one. Pinecone only losing the 1 position. He's going to try around the outside through the hairpin path. Oh, God! Jason, he's trying it. Oh, he's trying it desperately, but no, actually Zero moves ahead. Brown loses out 2 positions. Here comes Team Vodka Shot now, though. Jason already losing 1 position to one McLaren. He might lose another one to another, as Pinecone seeming very, very close to the back of Morso. It's the penultimate lap of this Japanese Grand Prix, and it is all kicking up. It looks like lap 2, not lap 26. This is incredible.
This is absolutely madness, Justin. I don't know if you saw it on the stream, but they were actually 3 wide through the hairpin on my screen behind that. It was P1R Brown, it was Jason, and I think it was MVP Zero. They all got sandwiched in together. P1R Brown was the big loser, but let's go back to the final lap, the live action on the track. Can Morso now do what Pinecone's been trying to do all race long? Here comes Morso in the Renault, round the outside into turn 1. Alonso still won't give up. Forces Morso wide. Morso's going to lose a ton of places. Through goes Pinecone, through goes Zero, and Jason somehow is still in 9th place after all this. How? I don't know. Unbelievable. And Alonso clinging on to that 5th place. I think he's going to hold on, Justin. I can't believe it.
It's the
best defensive performance I've ever seen.
Absolutely incredible stuff. I don't think Alonso is being too aggressive with his defense, which is really the impressive part. You know, I don't fault Alonso at all for the defense that he's been putting in, but it is still extremely close. There's all 7 cars all in one shot, as Restev is just about to get involved as well now too, but Alonso and Pinecone are side by side at the exit of the corner, but Alonso just about stays ahead. Pinecone possibly with some more ERS deployment. He's got the McLaren of MVP0 right behind him as well too. Very, very close between all of them. More so coming under attack from Jason97 F1 as well, as you can see all of the cars streaming into shot. Maybe Restev can do something in the closing stages of this race. Another 5-second stop penalty for Surprise. I'm not sure. That was for stop-go penalty for speeding in the pit lanes, but let's focus on this battle between Alonso and Pinecone. Pinecone around the outside into the Casio triangle, but it doesn't look like MVP0 picks up a 5-second penalty there, and Alonso is going to hold on to that 5th place position by the narrowest of margins. I've never seen so many cars cross the line in Xbox One AOR F1 that close together in my entire life. I have been doing AOR commentary, I think, since 2014 now. I'm into my 5th year of doing AOR commentary. I've never seen anything like that. Jonathan Ledger can't believe it either. He's so pumped about what we just saw. That was unbelievable. I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out. Wow.
Absolutely mental. I mean, and all that, by the way, Simon won the race. Surprise stayed ahead of Evo to keep the championship alive a little bit longer. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Matty G's loving it as well. No wonder in the Red Bull overalls there. How many cars were actually fighting for 5th place at the end? Everybody from 5th to the bottom of the pile? Absolutely. Look at those gaps. 18.4, 18.6, 19.5, 19.8, 19.8. Oh my God. Down to 11th. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars all wanting 5th place off of Veloci Alonso, and absolutely none of them could take it away from him. I mean, I want to give a big hats off to not only Alonso, but Pinecone as well. Somehow they didn't have a massive accident. They threatened it once or twice, Justin, but they gave us some magnificent action in that race. I loved it, every moment of it. One of the races of the season, particularly for the midfield action we had. You know what? Forget the top 3 podium interviews. Let's have a 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th post-race interview. Brilliant.
Incredible. Yeah, absolutely incredible stuff. Congrats to Simon, though, for winning the race. That's an incredible drive. Again, we don't know if Surprise is going to get that penalty removed or not. I genuinely don't know. It said that it was for corner cutting, and then at the end it said it was for speeding in the pit lanes. So I'm really not sure exactly the circumstances of that, but whew, man, yeah, that one was a workout for us as the commentators on that one. Really enjoyed that. As you said, we didn't quite get the battle for the lead that we've seen in previous races, which have been absolutely incredible, but that midfield battle just made it all worth it, because that was absolutely incredible. We do have one man that joins us now for an interview, and that is our championship leader. It's CRG Evo, picking up 3rd. It was 3rd, right? Again, it's been a hectic day. That was 3rd, right?
Yeah, it was.
Congratulations. I know you wanted the win, of course. There was it qualifying that set you back. Was it losing the position to Leopard? What do you think did it today?
I think qualifying was quite close, so that was quite unfortunate there in the end. I think Simon dipped me for a second in the end there, but the whole first stint was like really unfortunate. I think me and Simon could got way much quicker to up to Surprise, and yeah, battled him for the lead, but yeah, it wasn't meant to be.
Well, yeah, the championship does continue on for another race. Actually, what is the next race? Is it Coda? Is the next
USA,
race?
yeah.
Yeah. So you have another chance, though. We gave you, some odds. We knew that if you won the race today, that was going to be that. But then, of course, Surprise got pole, so we weren't 100% convinced that you were gonna pick it up here at Suzuka. What about Circuit of the Americas? How do you feel about that track? Do you go well around there?
Normally, yeah, it isn't one of my favorite tracks to drive, but pace seems really strong there always, so I look forward to it.
Yeah, should be a good one. Andy, any closing comments, questions, screaming from you after that incredible race?
Oh, I don't think I can scream anymore, Justin. I think I'm I think that's me finished for the night. That was absolutely brilliant. I really enjoyed it. It just goes to show, even when the season's coming to its climax, you know, everyone sees the final few races with the championship. I know it's not decided, but pretty much decided, as a bit of a dead rubber, and they just want to get into the next season. But we had no signs of that tonight. From 5th to 11th, what a battle throughout to the finish. Brilliant stuff. Enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to the next one. And USA, will that be the crowning moment for Evo? Couldn't quite replicate the Schumacher and the Ferrari winning a championship here. Will he do what Hamilton did, as you said earlier on, Justin, and win the title in Kota? We'll find out next week. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep, we are really now into the closing stages, as that was round 17. So we've only got 4 races remaining for Season 16 of the Apex Online Racing Hype Energy F1 League on the Xbox platform. Thank you so much to everybody that joined us. Of course, we always appreciate you tuning in. And big thanks to all of our drivers. In particular, shout out to Pinecone and Alonso for putting on an absolutely unbelievable show. Those two in particular, but really the entire midfield grid deserves a shout out for that one, because that was a heck of a show they put on for us. Really, really enjoyed that. So thank you again to you guys for watching at home. We will be back in 1 week's time for round 18 of Season 16 and the U.S. Grand Prix from the Circuit of the Americas. Yeehaw, my home race. So we will see you then. Thanks for watching. Have a great night. Bye-bye.